Hey, this is Jelly Belly back with another video. How's everybody doing? I hope you're enjoying your day. This one is going to be a very quick one. I always say that and I never stick to it. In fact, as the videos go along, they get longer. So this one's going to be 2 hours. If I said it, it'll probably be 5. No, I'm joking. This video is the black don't crack myth. I haven't got a lot to say, so it is going to be a very short one. A lot of the times black people have heard the expression, oh, you look good for your age. And what a lot of black women in particular don't understand is the average person who says you look good for your age is comparing you to a white woman. Okay? They're comparing you to a white woman because everybody knows that white people, sorry to say, as they reach their mid to late 20s, signs of aging start to show. Crow's feet, they start to get deeper laughter lines, maybe wrinkles in the forehead, because they don't understand that as a fairer skin tone, they need to be, they don't have melanin to help protect them from the sun. Sun is what helps to age the skin. This is why people have very aged faces, even when they have very youthful bodies, because the body's always covered for the most part. Just because your face doesn't show the signs of aging that a white woman's face shows or a white person's face shows. And I'm really speaking to women because, and not so much men, because number one, as a woman, you're not supposed to be judging a man really on his looks. I know you might say, oh, this is sexist or this is misogynistic, but men like attractive women or women that they find physically attractive. To a man, physical attractiveness is a high commodity or a high value commodity or an asset that he wants in a woman. He wants to be able to look at her and feel sexually attracted, aroused. He likes enjoying the view of a pretty woman, whatever that is to him, because, obviously most men prefer healthy looking women. I'm not really talking about the outliers that have fetishes and things like that. Just most people are average. Most people want to average, not most people want to average, like things like average weight. We know that there are some men who like super skinny, boy body. They have particular preferences, or maybe they like BBWs. I'm not talking about those people at the extreme ends of the spectrum. But most men want a healthy looking woman who's got a decent body, pretty face. Whatever he likes, that's what he wants. So to a man, physical attractiveness is as important as to a woman, a man having money. So if you're already looking at men and your first judgment is how he looks, as a woman, you're in your masculine energy and you've made a mistake. Because unless he's a model, and I don't know if you'd want to date a male prostitute, his looks are useless. His looks have no value. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say to any woman, you should pick a man because he looks good on paper, even if he looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame or something, because I get it. You want to be sexually aroused by your man too. So I would never say to somebody, go and date an ugly guy because he's a good man. But if you love him, that's fine. That's perfect. Okay. But men like to look at attractive women. They like to feel aroused when they look at a woman. So as a woman, it's important for you to understand what you look for in a man is not the same as what a man is looking for in you. Now, if the guy says, or someone says you look good for your age, they're saying if you were a white woman of the same age, by now you would show certain signs of aging. You don't have the signs of aging that a white woman has. But you're still going to show signs of aging for a black woman of your age. And the reason why I'm focusing on the women, which is why I started talking about, whether you're in your masculine energy or not, because I got sidetracked, but I don't think you noticed, but I'm telling you now, is that women need to understand that their physical attractiveness, their youthful appearance, is connected to their fertility. As you're producing eggs and ovulating, you are going to have softer skin, more, less wrinkles, and you're just going to show more youthfulness. The more fertile you are, the more youthful you're going to appear. So women will always have issues with the signs of aging more than men because women have the hormonal change. Their fertility starts to decline, and then afterwards it obviously is going to stop. They're going to go into menopause, and that's going to impact the way they look physically because they're not ovulating anymore. So black women need to understand the black don't crack myth is another thing that is helping to keep a lot of black women in a negative romantic position. Just because you don't look the way a woman of your age, a white woman of your age would look, doesn't mean you are youthful. Yes, you have a youthful appearance, but if you are 40, 45, 50, you're still ovulating, you still have your period, you still have 40, 45, 50-year-old eggs. You still have, let's just be real, fertility starts to drop off in the early to mid 30s. If you are, let's just use 35 to keep the numbers simple, because a lot of people today don't think 35 is that old. 35 is not old, but it's not young either. It's crazy to think that when you hit 30, I don't want to say you're done as a person, a man or a woman, but 30 is a very special year because it comes so quickly. And at the same time, you almost feel like you've just started living. You've been on the planet 30 years. And up for the first 20 or so, you kind of get a pass to do whatever. Be a kid. You get into your mid-20s, people are still telling you, oh, you're young, you're young. Then you hit the big 3-0 and it's like, okay, now you're almost a pensioner. Okay? So around 35-ish, you know that if fertility is starting to drop, you also got to think about it. If you have a child at 35, by the time that child is 20, you're 55. The later you leave it, the less time you're probably going to have with your kids, the less time you're going to see with your grandchildren, because you start having children, say 40. By the time the child is 20, you're 60. If the child doesn't start having children at 20 something, you might never see grandkids. So, I mean, that's how, anyway. You still have 35 years worth of baggage, 35 years worth of life experience, 35 years worth of maybe debt or education, job, independence. You also have 35-year-old eggs. And that's going to impact the way you look, the way you feel, the way you carry yourself. So this notion that just because you don't look as aged as a white woman of your age doesn't mean that you can convince everyone that you are, in your 20s, or, you're as lively and as youthful as the 20-year-old. This lie of black don't crack is like the lies of, if you have an education or if you have a good job, you're more desirable to men. It's the same kind of lie that helps to keep black women in a negative position, because what actually happens is when they should have been investing in finding a mate while they were in their peak and their prime, they thought they had lots of time to play with. And although you may not look, 35, 40, 45, when you get into a conversation with a man, the age will start to show. Because if you're talking to a younger guy, okay, he might look hot, maybe the sex will be good. But when it comes to what you need from him as a man, he's not really going to be able to come through because he's young. So I just want to put that out there because shout out to Erica Williams. She said, black don't crack, but it does get fat. Again, as you start to age, you hit 30, early 30s, your metabolism is going to start slowing down. So if you've been eating in an unhealthy way, for example, it's going to suddenly start catching up with you, because as your body starts to change and your hormones start to change, as you approach menopause, all of that aging is suddenly going to come down. So don't, we say it as a joke. Sometimes people say it and I just laugh because, I don't want to always be the stick in the mud. But it's like the black don't crack myth is really a deception. Black doesn't crack as hard as white cracks, but it does crack. Okay, your face looks good, but you still have 30, 40, 50 years of baggage. You still have 30, 40, 50-year-old eggs. You still have, you're closer to, I don't want to say death, but because anyone can die at any time. But the older you are, the longer you've lived, is the closer you are to dying. So, if you live long enough, you're going to be old. And every day that you live, you're one step closer to death. So it's like this notion of, well, I still look young, is actually going to give people, black women in particular, a false sense of time. And the reason why I don't really, like I said earlier about, women judging men on their looks, the reason why it's not really relevant that a man ages is because at 30-ish, a man is just getting into his prime. At 30, he's just becoming handsome. At 30, he's just getting his money right, his body right. Maybe he's had some serious relationships and now he's got an understanding of the kind of women he wants to date. So when it comes to him being at his peak, he's just getting into his stride at that age. And he's only going to become more handsome. He's going to grow in life lessons, knowledge. Probably his education is out the way and he's becoming seasoned in his career. So in terms of what a man of 30 brings to the table versus what a woman of 30 brings to the table, there's no comparison. Her looks are fading while his looks are just coming in. His style is just coming in. His ability to fund his life is coming in. He's getting promotions. He's saving money. So it's like there's no point to talk about the man's looks, because the man's looks are only going to become more handsome as he becomes more well-groomed and things like this. So it's important for black women in particular to understand, just like a white woman, you don't have unlimited time to keep on playing. Just because you don't look as aged as a white woman would look at 30 or 40 doesn't mean to say you still have unlimited options like you did when you were, in your teens or your 20s. You don't. Because once you start getting in relationships with guys and they start asking you your age, it's going to become apparent why you're so much, so mature and you haven't settled down. Holding on to this hope of black don't crack is actually what's going to keep a lot of black women in a negative relationship position. So if you settle down early, great. Your husband has many years probably of an attractive black woman to look forward to, because her blackness has less chances of cracking. But don't make the mistake of thinking that because you will age more gracefully than a white woman, that you actually have all the time in the world to secure a partner. That doesn't change. Because just like a white woman, as you get into your 30s, your ability to reproduce, your energy, your mind state is still going to change, even if your face doesn't show that change. So that's all I have. Let's get rid of the expression black don't crack, not because it's not true, but because it gives people a false sense of security, a false perception of how much time they have. It doesn't give people a sense of urgency to secure a good man when they're in their prime, when they're young, and when they actually have the energy to care for their kids. And ultimately, that's going to lead to a high population of black spinsters, women who think they've got it going on, they look good, but they cannot secure a decent relationship, because when that man hears I'm 40, 45, 50 with no kids, no wedding ring, he's thinking you look good, but that 18, 20-year-old, tender young thing just looks a little bit better. Okay, thank you for your time. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.